It is the Awesemo Odds betting show. I'm your host, Jordan Frank. I am joined, as I always am, by Ben Raza. Ben, how you feeling this morning?
I'm good. I took a brief hiatus for the last 5 minutes. Just finished with the NFL show, which was fun. Me and Nolan broke down the NFL games from a DFS perspective. We got 4 of them. I'd be lying, I do love DFS, but I love to check out those spreads, look at these. We got 4 good ones. Honestly, from a betting perspective, I think it's probably a better betting than DFS thing. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I think I would agree with you with this weekend. Some really interesting games that I want to get into. Obviously, you guys, like you said, just broke it down from a DFS perspective. We're going to do it from the gambling degen angle, see if we can find some bets that we like. I know already we're going to be on different sides for one game, so that'll be interesting to talk through. Before we get too deep into it, I do want to give a quick shout to our sponsor, EV Analytics. If you're looking for betting stats, real-time odds, all of your betting needs, make sure to check out evanalytics.com. We also have odds on our own site that are supplied by EV Analytics, so make sure to check those out. It's good for your handicapping, also helps with DFS projections, so make sure to check that out. I do want to also mention, Ben, we have a giveaway today, which is right up your alley for an Awesemo yearly golf pass. $250 value. You need to guess which golfer will be the second round leader of the Tournament of Champions that's going on right now. You need to, this is a Twitter giveaway, so make sure to retweet, like, reply, and follow the main handle, Awesemo_com, and also Awesemo Golf. Did I get that right, Ben?
And you got to follow me. That's not a real stipulation, but you go follow me and Jordan as well.
That's right. That's right. Make sure you follow the Jazz Raz DFS for all those hot takes.
Got to get those hot takes.
Who is your pick to be the leader, Ben? Who do we got? A lot of big names.
A lot of big names. I'll go with the Wolf man, Matthew Wolf. I was happy how he played. I'll tell you this much. I would sell this for a 2x week, but I had a great start. My Thursday was fantastic. It means literally nothing, but it was nice to start off on a solid foot for golf season.
Right. Like they always say, you can't win it on day one, but you could lose. I mean, you could have a horrible lineup and just be totally screwed. A lot of JB Holmes,
JB Holmes is not the answer.
I don't think this week.
He isn't dead last. He's a character. But no, we're going to have plenty of golf on this show as we get going. College basketball. Now the college football is sadly moving away from us. College basketball will start to, inch closer to the forefront.
Yeah, which always is something I like to talk about. You don't want to do a 30-minute breakdown of the Idaho Potato Bowl.
I mean, you don't have to get me going. I love talking. That's not even most agreed. First of all, it's not Boise State. Ohio is steaming in that game, but I have a feeling, just an inkling, that people would rather talk, sadly, about these NFL games. No respect out there.
You're probably right.
No respect, but I am interested. We talked just a touch before we got on, but I don't know where you're going with these. Do you have do you want to do it in like your order of like your favorite game? Do you want to just run down all 4? How do you want to do it?
You want to just do all 4 and we can speed through it. I don't know if we need to go as in depth as, certainly you and Nolan just did from a DFS perspective. And a lot of that is, obviously relevant here, but I definitely have leans in all 4 games. Certainly other games I have a stronger position and I've already taken positions on a few. Yep. There's definitely games where I want to just see where it goes still, because it's just a lot of action. It's NFL playoffs. There's so much action on these games. Like these numbers are going to move a lot as it gets closer to game time. They're all standalone games. They're all, obviously everybody's watching. These are the most bet games. This weekend and next weekend, I think, are my 2 favorite weekends. Probably next weekend is my favorite weekend to bet the NFL, just with so much public money involved. It's usually somewhat predictable. I think you can exploit the market a little bit.
It's a great weekend to view. I do think, and again, it depends what you're doing. If you're having some fun with it, go after it. But there is such an incentive to have a position on every game, and I can guarantee you that I don't bet all 4 of these games. There's no chance. I like a couple of them. A couple other, I do have some leans, but to me, there's just easier fish out there in the world. But it is fun to break down nonetheless.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. That's as people say, that's one of the sports bettor doesn't have many advantages over a sports book. One of them is you don't have to play every game. I know, especially with these standalone games, you want to have some action, and that's fine for entertainment and fun,
Of
but you
course.
just don't have to bet every game, right? Like that's one edge that we have to utilize.
And it's true because I'm in a bowl pool contest and you have to pick every game against the spread. And there's a lot of these games where it's just like, well, I have this spread right where they do. That makes it difficult, of course. So it is true being selective. That is something that we always preach. Line shop, odd shop it. You need to do that. That is more important than any of this stuff. Get the best number if you're
Yeah,
going to take the spot. Because even now, I guarantee the Texans are hanging. I see 2.5. There's going to be threes out there. Uh, Things like that. If you're back in the Bills, you want to look for that 3. If you're back in the Texans, you want to look for that 2.5 -110 if you can find it.
yeah, great point, and a good transition there. So the Bills Texans is the first game tomorrow. It is at, I believe, 3:30 Central, 4:30 for you, 1:30 for me. Uh, Obviously, Bills traveling to Houston. That line has been at 3. It opened at 3. I'm seeing a lot of 2.5s. Like you said, it seems like it's kind of ballooning back and forth between 2.5 and 3. Uh, do you have a position on this game? Do you have kind of some high level thoughts? Do you want to break this one down first?
Sure. I think actually for me, this is the game I like the least.
Okay.
I don't know what to make of the Bills, to be honest. They've gotten it done here and there. They earned their way in. First career playoff start for Josh Allen. I do think that Cole Beasley, when we look at the season, has been undervalued continuously in terms of how important he is to the team. They have the advantage over the Texans secondary. I will admit that. I do just worry about just being on the road going against Deshaun Watson, Hopkins. Now, Will Fuller is a impact thing. If he
Yeah.
sits, I think I would lean maybe to the Bills in this spot, even if it is just a lean. So I want to see what's up with Fuller. That is kind of the swing guy for me, and what I see is a pretty close favorite for the Texans right now.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, usually one player doesn't swing a game so much as it seems like Will Fuller does, at least for how the Houston offense runs. Or like he opens it up so much for Hopkins that he really has such a big impact for somebody who like might only have 2 or 3, catches in a game, but just the way that he can stretch the defense. I'm on board with you. This is the game that I probably like the least as well. I'm leaning Buffalo, but a lot of that does depend on Will Fuller, which, like we're just talking about, if he is out and I can still get a 3, then I'm definitely leaning towards the Bills here with that defense. Tre'Davious White might be the best corner in the league. Uh, you know, I'm sure you guys talked about Hopkins. He will probably shadow Hopkins, and I don't know, what that means for Hopkins if he's going to be able to have a decent game or not. But that's something that's concerning if Fuller isn't playing, right? Because then you're looking at Stills and Kiki Kute, but the offense just doesn't seem as explosive, and the numbers support that when Fuller doesn't play.
Oh, he really does affect. I mean, it's tangible, not just to Hopkins, but to the running game, to Watson, Stills. We'll see. It's not like they don't have weapons, but the Bills defense, Tre'Davious White, as you mentioned, is fantastic. They kind of know who they are. That is the one thing I like about the Bills. I know who they are. I think they know. The Texans, I see them, of course, I've seen them a lot this year. There are times when I'm just like, this team is the team that could get hot and go to the Super Bowl. Then there's other times where I'm just like, they're the 4th best team in the South. Like, just
Yeah.
get them out of here. The Jaguars are better than them. Like, this team, Bill O'Brien needs to go. I don't know what to make of that. I remember last year in the playoffs, of course, they did not get it done. Got the talent, but again, they're going to have to earn it, and we'll see. Carlos Hyde, I think, is important to this game. If they can really establish him and salt the game away, that would be big. And then, of course, Josh Allen, he can't be fumbling and turning it over. That is a quick way for this to get out of hand.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, you know what you're going to get with the Bills. There's no doubt about it. Houston is such a just distinct range of outcomes with how they play. We've seen them, like you said, play great. We've seen them just put up total bombs. One stat that I saw that really was interesting is, I had a feeling that Houston's defense was not very good, but if you actually look into the numbers, they're giving up an average of 388 yards per game, which is the 4th worst in the league, only better than Arizona, Miami, and Detroit. which is certainly not teams you want to be in the conversation with as far as defensive quality. The Bills, they want to run the ball. They'll open it up a little bit. Like you mentioned, Beasley, like John Brown kind of had a sneaky, I think he ended up over 1,000 yards. Like he's somebody who can definitely take advantage of a weaker Texans defense. So yeah, like I said, for me, I mean, I'm looking at the line, and if I can get a 3 and Fuller's out, I'm probably going to take a look at that. You look at the total at all? Is that something that's interested you?
Yeah, again, it feels pretty spot on. What is it, 43? I see 43 and a half on mine.
Yeah, I think I see the same.
And yeah, and we got
some 44s.
Quick shout out to friend of the show, Jacob in chat. Buddy, lurks, sub fam, threw a little super chat to us. We appreciate that. I'm not going to get a backwards hat. I don't roll like that. I used to have a sweet, they said I don't seem like a hat guy. I used to have this sick Iowa State hat I wore all the time when they had Pfizer and Tinsley.
Wow, that's going way back.
I love that team, Larry Eustace style, but that's neither here nor there. Maybe I do have a Rangers hat that I wear quite a bit, but it's an outrageous like winter New York hat. Maybe I'll wear that on the show one day and get real sick in the head.
Yeah, you should. Marcus Pfizer, top 5 pick, 6 pick?
Yeah.
Something like that to the Bulls. Yeah.
Good times. But
epic failure there.
Yeah, well, you win some, you lose some. But we do appreciate that, buddy. Good to have you, of course, as part of the team. And yeah, I mean, this game, I like it from a DFS standpoint. I talked about that with Nolan, but it feels like a 24-21 type game where that falls right where the total is and right where the spread is. So I really don't have a ton to say on the Bills Texans until we get word about Will Fuller.
Yeah. I don't want to step on your toes here, but it seems like it's a game that's kind of under the radar from a DFS perspective. Everybody's talking about Saints Vikes and Patriots Titans. I don't know. A lot of people, I haven't looked at ownership projections, but I don't want to get too into the DFS world here, but just seems like it's a game that's not on people's radar. It's the first game of the 4. I think there will be some opportunities though in this game.
I do think and of course tomorrow, no one already talked about this, so I won't spend too much time on it. We have we're going to be doing you breakdowns right before lock, leading up to lock, injuries, picks, all that. Myself, Lofty, Alex, the whole team will be there ready to roll. Dave throwing us a super chat. Much appreciated, buddy. I saw him killing in CFB during bowl season, took advantage of that. Keep that going, my man. Hope you're rolling in NBA. I know you're always playing, but the next game is the one I think we're going to spend some time here.
Yeah.
Like a donkey. I'm just going to go right off. I'm going to fall in the trap. I really do think that this could be it. I don't want to say doom and gloom. I just think in this spot, the Titans being 5-point underdog is a little much. But I think you're sticking with the evil empire. Are you not?
I am indeed. It doesn't feel good. I can tell you that much, but I have a few reasons that I'm going with the Pats here, and I do like them to win this game and cover. A few numbers, and then just kind of my thoughts. But when you look at the Titans, so I kind of did a deep dive into the schedule and when Tannehill came in, and then also looking at the stats and how everybody knows it's been a drastic improvement as soon as he took over in week 6. That game, he came in the middle of the game. So really, I looked week 7 through the end of the season. And the numbers are staggering. So I want to obviously give them credit. The numbers are staggering as they're the number 1 team in yards per play, number 3 in the league in points per game. They're putting up 30 points a game since week 7, since Tannehill took over. Yards per rush, number 1. Yards per pass play, number 1. Passer rating, number 1. The crazy thing is that passing attempts, they're 31st. So they've been incredibly efficient. Efficient isn't even the right word. Like Tannehill has been so incredible that it's almost mind-boggling to think he is doing this, given kind of the track record with him. And we can talk about Gase with Miami, and maybe he was mismanaged and not, truly coached as well as he is, with Vrabel. But just digging into the stats, so all the stats look incredible. But then when you look at the schedule, that's kind of where I temper it a little bit. So I don't know if you've looked at the Titans schedule since he took over, but essentially they've only beaten one playoff team. They've beaten a lot of bad teams. you're going to tell me, well, you can only play who's on your schedule. And of course that's true. But they lost to Houston. They lost to the Saints. They beat Houston with everybody resting. So I don't put a ton of credit into that. And then they beat the Chiefs on November 10th, 35-32. And that was like a really fluky game. But I'll give them credit there. So they really haven't played a ton of good teams. So
Yeah,
I think as the starting point, that's kind of the grain of salt for me.
they've been playing bad teams like the Dolphins. Oh, wait a minute. The Dolphins, who just
I see what you did there.
you got to be. I mean, I'll be honest. There's probably some bias because it's amazing that I didn't cash the under on the win total. I had positions on the Dolphins under 4.5. Think about that. I had that money spent.
Locked up.
That was easy money, and it went like most things in my life do, not according to plan. Here nor there. Listen,
tell us more.
I get it. I think you would say that it all comes down to Derrick Henry. The reason that Tannehill is able to have minimal attempts with volume and be so effective is because they have a guy who is a true workhorse. 32 carries, 211 and 3 in week 17. Now, I understand the Texans were not playing. They were not incentivized to play. If the Titans couldn't take care of that game, I mean, what are we really doing here? But man, on the flip side, and I'm not going to overreact to one game, but the Patriots didn't just let they needed that game. They should not be playing here. This is a huge deal with how hurt they are. Edelman needed that rest. They needed time to get ready. Man, that is a bad situation. Now, do you worry? I want to pass it right back to you. Snow and rain coming, so I hear. What do you think about that in Foxborough?
I don't think it's going to have a huge effect. To me, it's always the wind that I'd be worried about. If it's just snow or if it's just rain, it may get a little sloppy, but I don't think that's going to be a negative. There's some stats that I saw that, well, I think number one, the Miami game is concerning. Like that's an understatement.
Yeah.
Understatement, right? Well, like you said, the bye was on the line. They were up 4 with like 2 minutes left, and Miami had to go 80 yards to win that game, and they did it. Like, it's almost more concerning the defense didn't play better against Miami than even Brady. That's where I'm concerned. If the defense isn't as elite as we thought it was, then I could really see the avenue where Tennessee can, run the ball effectively, which they're going to try to do. Mix in play action, which it seems like the Pats are a little vulnerable to play action. I was reading a lot of the Miami success was on play action, and Miami doesn't even run the ball that well. So if you do that with Henry,
that's an understatement.
Yeah, for sure, right? Like Patrick Laird and whoever else, was running the ball throughout the season for Miami. But so that's where it's concerning, right? I have a feeling that Belichick is going to do everything he can to just bracket AJ Brown or double him and make I don't know, somebody else beat them in the passing game. I don't know if that's like Jonnu, Corey Davis, Tajay Sharp. So I don't love. I definitely have concerns. I mean, I see where you're coming from for sure. I do think though the line is a little bit too low. What do you think this line would be if the Patriots beat Miami by 4? Like, they hung on and they won, even though it was an ugly game.
I think it'd be around a touchdown.
I mean, obviously they wouldn't be playing.
That's the real answer.
But yeah.
No, I get where you're coming from with that. For me, the Miami, and I'm really trying, this is truly how I feel. The Miami game was a culmination of what I thought rather than a new thought on New England. This defense has shown it's good. It's not historically great like we thought. They're a good defense. The offense is a mess. Edelman is not going to be healthy for this game. He's going to play, of course. James White, we'll see what they can give him. They are trying to get Sony Michel desperately going. I think he is an X factor. If they can get 20 carries and 100 yards and a touchdown from him, that will go a long way. And they got to get a pass rush. Tennessee's line is bad. If they can get ahead and force Tannehill to throw 35, 40 times, I certainly would back New England in that scenario. But I truly think that there is a 35 carry effort from Derrick Henry here in a low scoring type game where the 4 or 5 points could be very pertinent.
I think so too. I think, leaning under a little bit on this because I can see that happening. Tennessee has a pretty good run D, but they're vulnerable at the corner spot. But I just don't know if Brady can take advantage of it. A lot of it depends on Edelman and his health. The other Patriots weapons, they really need to incorporate better. So let me ask you this question, and one more counter here. If we can somehow, I don't want to say ignore, but let's look past Miami last week. You go back 2 weeks ago, and the Patriots beat the Bills, right? Who was a top 5 defense in the league. Brady was 26 for 33, 271. That was the division clinching game that they needed at home. Yeah, they lay an egg the next week, but we're only 2 weeks removed from a pretty good offensive performance from this team. Is that something you've been thinking about? Is that just
See, to me, I mean, I thought that game spoke more to that was a toss-up game, and New England was at home and they got it done. They beat the Bills. I thought that they could have easily in the past blown them out in a spot like that. They did not. They had chances in that game, and I don't want
agreed?
to cherry pick games. The spot in Week 14 against the Chiefs, I thought was a turning point. I was certain that New England would put forward a really good effort, and they did not. And you just look, there's been multiple spots I mean, this team has lost multiple times at home, which is something we really don't see. They lost to Houston. They beat Dallas 13-9. They beat the Eagles 17-10. These are really close, tight games. And I think if you get into a game like that, to me, Derrick Henry is the safest option on either team. They know what they have, the Titans, and they're going to utilize him. I don't know what the Patriots are really going to do if it's not Edelman. I really don't.
Yeah, I can see a James White game. Like this could be
Yeah,
like one of those 10 for 100-yard type games where he's just catching every pass, and they don't want to throw down the field too much just because they haven't had a lot of success.
Yeah, they were throwing to linebackers last. I'm not even joking. That I don't even.
Yep.
So I don't know. We'll see. I don't think the weather will play a huge role, but I think again for the Titans, what do they care? I mean, they're going to be running the ball.
Yeah.
They're not throwing it deep downfield. That's not a huge. Neither are the Patriots, so it's not two offenses overly affected.
Yeah. I think for sure the Pats offense has a lot of questions and there's a lot of issues, and it starts with Brady, and I need to see it from him. But I'm just a little nervous riding Tannehill, his first playoff game on the road in Foxborough in a night game. It's going to be a crazy environment, but I'm very fascinated by the game. I'll tell you that much. But
it's going to be. Could it be Brady's last game ever as a Patriot?
Yeah, or his last game at Foxborough, even, because part of me thinks that the Pats. I think, obviously I don't know, but I think the Pats are going to win this game. Will they cover? I don't know. I hope so, but I think they're going to have a hard time if they go into KC next week. That's the spot. That's the one.
I mean, not that maybe they can do it because they defy all, but I tell you what, if the Patriots beat the Titans, win in Arrowhead, and then go into Baltimore and win, that would be up there on all-time accomplishments for a team that's literally accomplished everything.
Yeah, it would. It would.
That's not well. Famous last words. As a UMass alum, I've seen terrible things happen. Yes, Chad, I agree with everyone that everyone is on your side. I'm on the donkey side.
Everyone's on my side?
Everyone. If you don't bet the Patriots, you are a fool.
Wow.
That definitely checks out. That's for sure. Pats are nothing. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I already have a position on this game, so I'm stuck nonetheless. Those are the two Saturday games.
Yeah, just real quick, I do see, I mean, I see a 5.5 out there and a 4.5. So there is a lot of discrepancy. So make sure you're shopping that. If you like the Pats, I have a feeling, well, I don't know. I thought it would go up, but maybe it's coming down. So maybe there's money coming in on Tennessee, but just keep an eye on it.
Yeah, I mean, the Titans feel incredibly public to me, even though just because of the Miami game and the recency bias.
Yeah.
I do think sharp money may come in on the Patriots, but we'll see. I hope not, obviously, but that's where I'm at. Yeah, now I got reinforcements. Way to come to your non-backwards hat wearing friends here, chat. Much appreciated with my Titans backers. Good job.
Oh man.
The next, you want to move on because I want to talk about this Vikings game I wanted to ask you about.
Yeah. So let's get into Sunday. So crazy. I don't think they've ever done this before. I don't know. I haven't done any kind of back checking here, but with the AFC games on Saturday, NFC on Sunday,
I kind of like it.
Yeah, I think it's cool. They wanted the Pats as a night game, clearly.
Oh, for sure. But yeah, I mean, this is the biggest spread. I see 7.5. I've seen 8. Vikings going into the Superdome, highest total 49.5 on my screen. Tough game, of course. The Saints and the Patriots both wanted and in some ways maybe expected to be resting here. Now they have to play. I guess I want to hear what you say before I give any. I don't love this game. I definitely like the night game better, but
Yeah,
I lean to the Vikings if I have to take a spot, and I'll get into why in just a second.
I do too. I think number one, I think the number is just too high. I
Yeah.
mean, to me, this should be a 6 point game. Maybe you could argue seven. One stat that I saw that's really interesting. We always talk about trends and kind of how they're not super valuable unless there's like a reason behind the trend. But Breeze at home in the playoffs is 2-6-1 against the spread. I don't put a lot of stock in like each individual performance as like an indicator of this, but what it does tell me is that they're often just overvalued at home in the playoffs. It's going to be a public spot. Everybody thinks the Saints, and they do. They play better at home. Obviously, it's indoors. They're playing in a loud environment that's favorable to them. They play better at home. Like there's no question. But like, is that worth an extra couple points? It doesn't seem like it is, at least in the playoffs, and you can kind of glean that from Breeze's record at home against the spread. So that's kind of number one. Uh, for me, the Vikings are getting healthy. I know you talked a lot about Dalvin Cook on the show for DFS with Nolan, and I'm kind of just leaning on him here. Like I want him to have a monster game. Kind of slow the game down, like get him involved, 20, 25 carries. He's rested. He hasn't played in, I don't know, what, at least a few weeks now at this point.
Yeah, since week 15. So he's had 2 full weeks off.
2 full weeks off. Madison rested last week as well, as a change of pace back. I really like him. Thielen is another wild card where I just don't know. He's been playing, but is he 100%? No. An extra, it's been another week since they last played, obviously. So maybe he's a little healthier. There's some other things I was looking at, but just from a high level, like just the Vikings getting healthier, it just seems like too many points to me.
Yeah, I think that's Dalvin Cook was on a tear and then he was quiet, but they've gotten healthy, I think, at the right time. We'll see what Thielen can give them. Kirk Cousins, listen, I mean, I get it. I get some of the stuff is warranted. The numbers and the trends don't lie, but at the same time, I trust him, I think, more than other people do. I don't think he's going to have a terrible game or anything like that. The one thing I will say, and again, I don't dig too much into this, but the Vikings, when you really look at the totality of their schedule, they haven't really done much. They got swept by the Packers. They lost to the Seahawks. They lost to the Chiefs. They beat a lot of middling teams. They beat the Cowboys, the Broncos, the Lions, the Giants, the Raiders. They're not at home. They're much stronger at home. They are in the dome. But to me, it's just a very talented team. Two talented teams, of course. Not to say the Saints won't be ready to go. And you just mentioned north of 7 in a game like this is just too many. It's just too many points, in my opinion. I think both defenses have the abilities to somewhat affect both, and I still think the game will get out and get moving. But I'm with you. I think Cousins plays just fine, and they'll have a chance in this one, no doubt.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it also kind of screams teaser, which usually when it does scream that way, I'm kind of nervous about it. But you can tease the Vikings all the way down through 7 and through 3, which over time, that's a plus EV teaser. If you have these dogs that are like +8, +8.5, you can get them down to 2, 2.5. And I would tease it with the second game we're going to talk about on Sunday, because that is also kind of a ripe teaser spot. But I think I just lean Vikings as well. Like I don't know if I would necessarily need to tease it down. I just think it's too many points.
Are you looking to tease the Saints or the Vikings?
Sorry?
Are you looking to tease the Saints or the Vikings?
The Saints, sorry.
Okay.
To get the Saints to win, but
yeah.
I like the Vikings to cover, but the Saints to win. Yeah, sorry.
Okay, no, yeah. That absolutely. I was going to say, because I'm with you. You can tease through the 2 key numbers. I don't really have a ton of appeal to tease the Vikings up to like 13.
Yeah. That's not. Yeah, sorry, that was very unclear.
Just want to clarify. Absolutely. This is a game that, the money line is a little inflated. I'm not looking for. I see -400 on my screen for the Saints. That's a little rich for me. I do think they finally, ultimately, will win the game, but there's a lot of ways. Not that I look for a backdoor, but the Vikings could be outplayed in this game, and I could still have plenty of chances to keep this inside 7. Never mind the fact that they can just play up to this. If Dalvin Cook can get 20 plus touches, and I think he will, honestly, in this spot. Yeah, 7.5, 8
Yeah.
points.
I think he needs to. If he doesn't get to 20 touches, I think that's bad. And we're going to be in for a long day because then it's just a bad game script.
Yes, yes. I mean, like any of these games, if Cousins or Josh Allen or any of these quarterbacks starts turning the ball over and
Yeah.
they're on the road, and Tannehill too, like, and it gets out in front of them, yes, the game could be lost. But you could say that about basically anybody besides, I mean, Breeze is not going to do that. So I'll take my chances that Cousins can at least do enough to keep them in it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a day game, right? We're fine. It's not at nighttime. We should be
No,
good to go here.
it's indoors. He'll be fine. All that stuff. Um, he'll be just fine. They're equipped. No excuses though. You know what? The Vikings, they've got Diggs, they've got Thielen, they've got Cook. They've got the weapons. Like, you
They
should show
do.
up in a game like this. I know the Saints are very good, and we'll see what they do. You know, it would be nice if they had Xavier Rhodes pre-Space Jam losing his powers to defend Michael Thomas, because he is just dust right now, and that's a big loss.
Yeah, I was going to say that too. I don't know what happened to him. He was so elite. Last year, maybe 2 years ago for sure, was like one of maybe the best cover corner in the league. And I don't know what's happened to him.
No, he's been terrible, but you know, they have personnel. The Vikings defense is balanced. They don't have a glaring weakness. The Saints are going to move the ball, but so will the Vikings.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I think we're both on the same side there. We both like the Vikes. We're on opposite sides of Titans Patriots. I think we both lean Bills in the first game, but don't love it. So that brings us to the final game, which this team, they just played, about a month ago, 5-6 weeks ago, the exact same scenario. The Seahawks came to Philly. Philly beat up, ton of injuries. Seattle not as injured as they are now. Both teams just riddled with injuries. This line actually flipped, where the Eagles were the early favorites this week, and then it flipped. Now Seattle, I'm seeing like 1.5s, maybe some ones are out there. Such an interesting game, though. What are your thoughts on this game?
So this is my second favorite game. Might be actually my favorite game, honestly. It's one of the two. I wrote up an article on the site. You can go check that out. Breaks these games down a little more in depth, and gets into it. I don't want to, again, we both, I think, agree. Trends, history, stuff like that. It's fun to talk about. It really means nothing. But I will say, it feels like time and time again, there's a weak division that everyone rips on, and then they get a home game. And I remember the Seahawks did it to the Saints, I believe, with the Quake run game.
Yes.
And this is another spot where the Eagles, I certainly lean them to win this game. I took the money line plus 110. Seattle losing Carson and all of them, they're extremely banged up. They have been playing tough game after tough game. They lost an emotional one to the Niners. We know they're talented, and the Eagles, say what you want, but they did what they had to do when they needed. They beat the Cowboys. They beat the Giants. Wentz, he's finding weapons. And I'll tell you what, I mean, I can't believe I'm saying this, but these, like Boston Scott, Goddard, these guys are getting it done. We'll see what's up with Miles Sanders. They really could use him and Ertz, of course, but they are got Greg Ward to step up and at least keep this offense afloat.
Yeah, so it seems like Sanders, I think, was going to try to practice today. Ertz was not practicing today. Obviously, keep an eye on those guys. But if they can get Sanders and Ertz back, I like the Eagles too here. I mean, I think we're on the same side here. I think they're undervalued by a lot here. There's so much public perception on Seattle and how great they are. And even though they've lost 2 in a row, which has been a long time since that happened, the public is going to be all over Seattle here. And this is just a great spot for Philly at home. I was looking more into that game. I remember, I really liked the Eagles when they played 4 or 5 weeks ago, because it was the same thing, like literally the same thing. The Eagles were favored. The game flipped. Everybody was betting Seattle. The money was just piling in on Seattle. And I just thought it was just a great spot for the Eagles. And we didn't get there, but when you really dig into that game, the Eagles had 6 turnovers that game. Wentz had 2 picks and 2 fumbles lost. Obviously he can't, duplicate that, like we were just talking about. I mean, he has to protect the ball, obviously. But if he could just do so, and he's been playing well. I think he's a very underrated quarterback to begin with. Seattle, like I said, I mean, both teams have just so much injuries everywhere. But Seattle's offensive line has some new injuries. Obviously, their running backs are out. They're relying now on beast mode to come back. Like they're just picking guys up off the street. They got Robert Turbin coming back. And the Eagles' front seven is great. Like the Seahawks are not going to be able to run the ball, so you make them one-dimensional. I think the Eagles are going to win this game. I don't even know if it's going to be that close.
No, and a couple things that I want to bring up, and Clint brought this up in chat. I think it's a good point. The Eagles' defense at home certainly stronger. The secondary has gotten better, but I'll take a step back. And again, maybe you can debate the merits of this. To me, the Seahawks resemble what the Titans want to be. Like when people think because Russell Wilson's fantastic, that they're throwing it all over the place. Seattle wants to run the ball. That's always what they've wanted to do. They want to lean on Carson. They wanted to lean on Penny. They wanted to lean on that. Let Wilson go play action, hit Lockett 3 times for $150. That's gone. This running back stable is completely decimated. Marshawn Lynch can give them a little. That's about it, though. If they're going to win the game, Wilson is going to have to drop back a lot. He's going to have to lean on Metcalf and Lockett, and that is just not how the team is built. I do like Lockett, especially in DraftKings, because I think he's going to be peppered with targets. But I tell you what, I really think this takes Seattle out of what they truly want to do, and that's bad news for them.
I think you're right. And their line play has been shaky all season. Russell's been running around for his life, and it's even worse now, losing a couple more guys. They're not going to be able to run the ball. And like you said, that's what they do want to do. And if they have no success running the ball, you truly make them one-dimensional. Wilson's great, but he doesn't want to throw it 35, 40 times. And if he has to, I think that's a good recipe for the Eagles. Certainly their front seven can get a lot of pressure if they can rush Wilson. He can certainly turn the ball over or just put them in, in bad spots. But I don't know. The money seems to come in on Seattle still. Like I'm looking at it now, and all the money is still coming in on Seattle. I literally just saw a headline that says, let's see if I can pull it up real quick. Something along the lines of Seahawks might have the most money or the most amount of bets ever in a playoff game.
You see?
I love it. And I will fade that all day.
Yeah, I'm with you. And of course, this is like, again, I don't want to get too much into trends because of course this is a, chicken or egg thing, but Wilson has thrown more than 35 times, 5 times this year, and they're 1-4. Like if he is throwing the ball 40 times, that's not good. Now, naturally, they're trailing in those games. That's why he's throwing. So they're likely to have lost those games. I understand that. But I do think if Marshawn Lynch can lead them to victory, I will take the L. That is fine with me. I do not, especially against the Eagles. The strength of that defense is right up front. I don't see them getting much. And again, if Wilson is forced to really have to throw it all over, I'll do it. Wentz has been good. He really has, even with the bad weapons. Can't turn it over, as you mentioned, but every team can say that. So, we'll go against. And naturally, it's a huge public side. It's pretty easy. You look at the records, 11-5. Oh, the NFC East was so bad. The Eagles, blah, blah, blah. Look at the spread, though. It's borderline pick 'em. Like, even Vegas is shading it. It screams trap to me if you're backing the Seahawks.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Seattle, the most popular playoff bet in NFL history is the headline that I just saw.
They don't build those casinos with, you know how it goes.
Yeah. It's we're on the same page. So we're on the same page, I think, for 3 out of the 4 games. We just got that one minor hiccup. Yeah.
Cut me some slack. It's amazing. I mean, I'm not going to get into my page, but like there are few and far between times when I actually need to root for the Patriots and they never win. Like I needed them to beat the Dolphins. Like I was willing to sacrifice, let them get a bye, even though I don't want them to have a bye, just because I need to cash these outrights. But no, like that's what the Patriots do. And it really is disturbing.
It's incredible. I'd like to see kind of the breakdown of the percentage of the Dolphins win probability for the season as their season progressed for their total. So you had the 4.5.
I was virtually certain at one point that they were going to win no games. There's almost no chance they play Cincinnati, maybe.
Yeah. That was the one spot everybody circled. They could be 2 terrible teams.
I mean, I know. Looking back in week 1, they played Baltimore and they were a 7-point they had just jettisoned Tunsil and like multiple other people, and it shot up to 7. And it was like, and then Baltimore won by about 50 points. Now
Yeah.
you look back, but it's because they went to Fitzpatrick, not to tangent, but they would have
Yeah.
won they were awful until they went to him.
Yeah. With Rosen, it was not working.
Chosen Rosen, my
Yeah. As
man,
much as I'd like to see him play better, it was just not working.
really was not working. But yeah, I mean, these are games we'll have to monitor the injuries, especially at this time of the year. You do have to see who's in, who's out, whether it's Ertz. Fuller to me is the most important injury of any team, any
Yeah.
player. And then we'll look to it. I mean, other than that, I know we have a couple minutes left and we can talk about some other stuff. I looked for outrights that I really liked, someone to make a run. I have Packers positions. I feel pretty good about that. Obviously, I wanted them to get the 1 seed. Is there anyone that you think could make from the wild card teams if you had to pick one? I mean, I guess the Saints would be the obvious choice.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been something I've been looking at for a while, and I haven't pulled the trigger on anything. But yeah, I mean, the Saints would be the obvious one. The Patriots would be kind of the crazy, I think, shot in the dark. But I have a hard time seeing, like we were talking about, that route to get to the Super Bowl is ridiculous. Like I just can't see them doing it. Like they're 12-1 right now to win it all, which I think seems too low. I mean, I think they're just kind of protecting themselves there.
So I'll say this. If you want to back the Patriots to do that, if it was me, I would roll a parlay.
Or just I'll take your bet. How about that?
Yeah, or let Jordan book it. You have 2 options now, but I do think it's much more beneficial to just open a 4-team parlay and just bet them. I think you'll get better odds than what they're shading these outrights to.
I think you will, because they're going to be dogs the next, if they win, right? They're going to go to KC
straight.
most likely, and then most likely to Baltimore. They're going to be dogs in both games.
Definitely.
Yeah,
right there, you're going to get better than 12. So
yeah,
think to that. I mean,
yeah. Green Bay, I like your position. Obviously, Green Bay right now, not a great time to be, locking in Green Bay like 8-1.
No, the time was
season.
Nothing too crazy though. It's tough with and NFL. I think in the mid-season you can get some positions. I rarely, if ever, take someone right now.
I know it's probably the worst time to lock a future in. I mean, unless you truly just have the strongest position. I mean, I guess if you just love the Ravens, but even that, like you could just start parlaying and get a better price than what you're going to get playing a future at this point. I don't know. It's like Nick Foles magic going to walk through the door like the Eagles at 34-1. I mean, that's one that seems insane. Maybe they get healthy, like defense is playing better, but I mean, that's such a long shot, obviously.
Yeah, that's a tough. So the Eagles are what? Are they?
I'm seeing 34.
No, but they're the 4.
Yes, they're the 4.
So they go to San Francisco.
Yeah.
Unless the Vikings win.
Unless the Vikings win.
So
there's a scenario where they're hosting the NFC Championship game, right? Like,
yeah, there's always a chance. But I think you could do worse than that. I'm not pulling the trigger anywhere there. This is good. Eagles are moving up spread wise. I will wait. I have not locked that in. Good. Hopefully it gets to 3. Go. Just keep going. I did take a little on the money line, but maybe I'll take some points now. Huh.
Yeah.
That's just
why not?
Oh boy.
So right now I see 1.5.
I see 1.5 too, but I guess if you shop around, you can find oh no, it's funny. My screen. No, I'm an idiot. That's the wrong game. It's 1.5 on my screen. Never mind.
But I think you're right. Like we said, I think the public is going to be on Seattle. I can see that number definitely itching up to 2.5. Well, will it get to 3? I mean, that's really that's the point that the books probably don't want to get to. So they'll be taking a lot of money to get to 3.
It's not going to get to. I don't think it'll get to 3, but
I wouldn't think so.
That would be interesting.
That would be hammer time. We're gonna hammer that 3.
So real quick, I just want to say a couple things on the college basketball world, if I can. Or do you have anything else?
You want to talk Armed Forces Bowl? How you feeling about Southern Miss?
Armed Forces Bowl? Where is this? Oh, yeah.
Southern Miss Tulane tomorrow. That's like the only one left, I think.
Yeah, there's a couple bad games.
Obviously the big one, but we got another full weekend? It's what, next weekend? So we could talk about the championship game next week.
Yeah, I'm waiting to talk about that. That's going to be
Yeah.
nuts.
Yeah.
I will say this game at 3:30 today, Ohio was obviously taking crazy money. It's been moving like wildfire. It's almost up to 10. It was at
Oh,
like
wow.
7 not that long ago.
Did that kick off yet, or that's?
No, 12:30 your time.
Oh, okay. Oh, we got a few more hours.
So I really don't have strong takes in these games. I think if I had to, I would lean Nevada and Tulane. Tulane has been a project of mine. I like their quarterback. He's a former LSU guy. Southern Miss has been a little up and down. I don't really trust them. To be truth, it's touchdown for Tulane, but this is bad. These are bad teams.
Yeah.
Really bad. And then we get Clemson and LSU. Get your popcorn ready.
Yep. Two not bad teams right there.
My God.
Yeah, we'll talk about that next week. We'll definitely break that down in detail because we've still got. So that's Monday the 13th. Yeah, we got a full 10
we got
days
time.
or so. Yeah,
we've got time.
So college hoops. Talk to me. What do we got going on?
We got. I will say, there's only 2 undefeated teams left: Auburn and San Diego State. So I want to just throw that out there. Liberty, they finally lost. They're very good. Atlantic Sun, North Florida's in that conference, who is the secret team.
Yeah, I do like them.
It's a pretty bad slate today. I have one kind of egregious pick. Don't love it. Nothing too crazy, but it's Ball State. They are at home, slight favorite, 1.5 on my screen over Toledo. This is a team that got some inside presence. This is Maction. The conference play is getting underway across the country. Colorado last night took down Oregon. That was good. If you read my article, I have to take victory laps when I get something right because I
got to do it.
I was perfect last night. Tennessee State got it done. Colorado got it done. Northern Florida got it done. All good things. But, this is really the dog days of we're removed from college football. We're not to March Madness just yet. I really wait. Keep in mind, students a lot of times are not back. I hate college basketball when there's like no home crowds. They got to get back. Then it gets going. LSU, Clemson is just going to be out of control. And Liberty, that team is fantastic. When they get in the tournament, and they will, don't be messing around with them. They're definitely live to win a game or two. But I will be posting, college basketball articles here and there. But if you want one today, just take a look at Ball State. Don't sleep on the Cardinals.
And that game is during the day, is it? No, 4 o'clock.
4 o'clock your time.
Yeah.
So,
night game for you.
Fridays are pretty bad. Thursdays are really where we're at. And then obviously we're going to be talking golf on this show going forward. 34 players in this tournament is just garbage.
Yeah.
And maybe we'll sneak in. It's going to get to the All-Star break. We got to start talking a little NBA.
I'm always in for that.
Yeah, man. I mean, I wanted to talk. I mean, we're not going to do it right now about the Pacers in particular as a team who's been very impressive. They did not play good last night, but with Oladipo coming back, I looked at some futures positions pretty recently.
Yeah, even without Brogdon lately, they've been playing really well. Last night, not included, but interesting team for sure.
It is, and this is the kind of stuff. Obviously, chat. I will say before we duck on out of here, appreciate it, fellas. Not just the super chats, everything. Fun show. If you can hit the like button. And if there's anything, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I feel like we cover most things, but if for some reason there is something going on that you want to cover, just let us know, and we'll look into it. Whether it's tennis, I'm always talking about the ponies here and there. And there's always stuff going on, and you know what? Yes, as I said at the top of the show, betting the NFL games is awesome. If you're sitting down, you want something to sweat, you can do that. But there's much softer lines in, especially if you're not betting a lot of money. If you're trying to get down a ton of money, you can't bet like openers for college basketball. But if you're just playing around, you can look to some smaller things if you do the research, and you can find some pretty soft lines out there.
Yeah, between the two of us, I think we could probably cover a majority of the sport. So yeah, if there's anything out there people want to hear about, we'll certainly dig into it and talk about it. Like, I have no problem doing that.
Yeah, I mean, it's good stuff. Like I said, even sports I probably shouldn't bet. I find ways to bet it. So we'll do that. It's been fun. I mean, the next couple of weeks of football are great. I really do enjoy the playoffs, and I hope everyone enjoys watching them DFS and betting for sure.
Yeah, good luck everybody this weekend. The show coming up, we have the Yahoo NFL strategy show with Nolan and Awesemo, Alex Baker himself. Stay tuned for that. Good luck this weekend. We got 4 really interesting, exciting games. We'll be back next week. One of us will be gloating about the Tennessee Patriots game, and looking forward to it.
Take care.
Good luck, everybody.